My stepsister tried to embarrass me in front of the entire family. She said that I was unsuccessful. I was a failure. You know why? Because I'm a divorcee. And my husband no longer wants me. Well, guys, when I tell you karma is very strong with this story, you have no idea how strong. Hello everyone, my name is Alice, and I was with my husband for 3 years until he cheated on me 2 years ago. So we got divorced against my stepmother's wishes. Ray, my stepmother, was not happy when I announced my wish to get divorced. My ex-husband was incredibly wealthy, and Ray was obsessed with that. She enjoyed boasting about her son-in-law to all her friends, and he used to be incredibly generous towards my family. Thanks to him, we often went on vacations and dined in luxurious restaurants. However, everything changed when he cheated on me. Despite the betrayal, Ray urged me to continue the toxic marriage. My stepsister Mimi sided with her mom. Before my marriage, I had a good relationship with my stepmother and stepsister, despite not treating me as her daughter since I was already an adult when she married my dad. Ray and I were close. I was in fact in college when she married my father, and my mother had been dead a decade by then, so there were no hard feelings between us. I would come home for the break, and Ray would constantly take me and Mimi out for Girls' Day. And Mimi was a teenager when she became part of the family, but she wasn't ever hostile towards me. As I witnessed our relationship deteriorate amidst the divorce, I became convinced that spending more time together was the key to reminding them of the joy that we once shared. I felt like it was the only way to keep them close to me in such a hard time, even when they were against my decision. Consequently, I made a decision to move back in with my stepmother for a month, hoping to rebuild the connection which we had before my divorce. It became evident pretty soon that Ray had taken my decision to split from my ex-husband as a personal attack. Ray started to taunt me for being selfish and only thinking about myself. She claimed that I had only thought of myself in the divorce and not about her. Every day she would find ways to humiliate me by bringing up her friends, by mentioning my father. I tried to take her to the restaurants we used to go before my marriage, but she would compare them to the luxury restaurants my ex-husband used to take us to. Mimi would do nothing as her mother belittled me. Sometimes she would fan out Ray's anger, and I remember once that Ray was in a pretty good mood. It was the last day of my stay, and I moved out within 3 weeks instead of a month because of what Mimi said. She and I got into this little argument when she brought up the fact that I was a divorcee. She told me I was an embarrassment, and she could not even imagine how I could live in Ray's house. I tried to explain that I just wanted to spend more time with her, but she didn't let me get a word into the argument. She said that I was selfish, and that's why I'm a divorcee. She accused me of being the reason for the divorce and not my husband, who clearly cheated on me. Well, Ray jumped in too, and they both cornered me. Ray revealed that she was absolutely humiliated to have her divorced stepdaughter hanging around her house and would prefer if I kept my distance. They made it pretty clear that they wanted nothing to do with me. I was heartbroken, already going through a tough time, and their toxic behavior made it even more challenging to cope. I sucked in a breath and told them that I would be leaving. Of course, they did not stop. So I started keeping my distance from them, and during family dinners where we were both present, they would ignore me, and I in return refrained from bothering them. This marked the last time Ray or Mimi voluntarily spent time with me until just recently. Recently, Mimi got married to a man named Sam. Sam seems like a great guy, and I have not had the chance to get to know him personally. I only saw him at the wedding, and I'm certainly I was only invited so that people would not wonder where Ray's stepdaughter was. However, a few weeks ago, Mimi and Ray invited me to Ray's for 2 weeks. They expressed the desire to reconnect, and I believed them. Sam was away from work, and Mimi was getting bored alone at home, so I went wishing my whole heart to rebuild our relationship with them. But when I got there, I realized they did not genuinely want to reconnect. Instead, they seemed intent on throwing Mimi's marriage to Sam in my face, though they didn't say anything directly. Every comment they made was laced with that intent, and Mimi would go on and on about her honeymoon and just how amazing being married to Sam was. She would also pointedly mention that she was pregnant with Sam's baby. I remained silent, sitting through it all, genuinely hoping that after they had vented their insults, they would start caring for me like they used to. I could not have been more wrong. Yesterday, they provided the proof. When I collected the mail for the day, I noticed a package addressed to Mimi. I delivered it to her while she and Ray were sitting in front of the television. The rest of the mail I handed to Ray, who flipped through them leisurely. That's when Mimi screamed in confusion from her seat. Ray and I were perplexed, so I peeked over Ray's shoulder to see the contents of the documents after she snatched them from Mimi. They were divorce papers. Mimi sat there in confusion, wondering why Sam would want a divorce so suddenly and unexpected. Confusion soon turned to fury as she repeatedly dialed Sam's number, but he did not answer. Ray and I did not know what to do and just kept looking at each other in helplessness as Sam continued to ignore Mimi's calls. In frustration, she threw the phone at the TV, breaking it. Ray stood up to calm her daughter down, but she wasn't in any state to be reasonable. Mimi, she threw a vase through the window as tears rolled down her cheeks. I tried to calm her down by suggesting that it was time for action rather than reaction. Mimi agreed, expressing the need to go and talk to Sam since he could not make such a decision on his own. However, Ray disagreed, asserting that she would ruin everything if she went down to his office and spoke to him in such a state. So, Mimi cried into her mother's arms as she begged her to call Sam instead, and Ray agreed to do so. She held her daughter in one arm as she dialed the number from her other hand. Unfortunately, her call fell through as well, and Sam did not pick up the phone. Mimi was crying all day, so today I tried to calm her down. Unfortunately, my reassurance seemed to backfire as they only made Mimi more mad. At that point, Ray interjected, accusing me of being the reason for Mimi's divorce. She blamed me for bringing all this negativity into the household just by being a divorcee. According to her, my negative vibe could make my husbands want to split with their wives. I tried to defend myself against such an illogical accusation, but neither Ray nor Mimi were in the mood. Mimi jumped on the bandwagon, blaming me just like her mother. It seems she was searching for a punching bag to release her frustration, and I happened to be in the vicinity. Their behaviors and words truly hurt me, but it was also suspicious how quick Mimi was to blame me so logically like that. I told them that I was just trying to help by calming Mimi down. They were the ones who invited me here to brag about Mimi's married life, not me. I stated that if they want me out of the house, they can just say it to my face. They don't have to make up an excuse to get me to leave like this. I just wanted to help. But clearly they did not appreciate it. However, Ray seemed to have gotten an idea from something that I'd said. Ray continued to accuse me of being the bad luck in the family, but I could try to do better. I knew that it wasn't my fault, but I let her finish her illogical reasoning. She suggested that I could be of use, and since Sam did not know me well, maybe I could talk to him. I agreed, telling her that I would call him if that's what they wanted. Mimi, however, begged me, insisting that it would be better if I went to his office personally to talk to him. I wasn't convinced. I no longer wanted to be surrounded by such negativity and toxic people. However, Mimi was heartbroken and crying all day long, and I could not help but feel pity for her. Ultimately, I folded and promised to call Sam's office for an appointment to talk to him. Since making that promise, they have not said a single bad thing to me. I feel like it's the calm before the storm, though, and I'm sure if I can do nothing for Mimi, they'll revert back to being cruel to me. So just in case, I've already packed my bag and prepared a quick exit if all falls through. It also makes me wonder what Mimi could have done to deserve such an abrupt end to the marriage. Ray would never tell me, even if Mimi ever confesses what it was. However, I'm certain that she's not as innocent as she pretends to be in this divorce. Otherwise, she would not have just jumped up and accused me of being bad luck like Ray did. Anyways, I'm going to call Sam's office tomorrow and then try to make a hasty exit from this drama. Is it the right thing? I mean, they're family, and I should not leave family during such a difficult period. But they did the same thing with me. Would it really make a bad person if I left as soon as possible to avoid being caught in the crossfire? Let me know what you think. Update number 1. Hey everyone, it's Alice again. I called Sam 2 days ago and set up an appointment for today. Well, I learned a lot during our meeting, and I think you'll be just as shocked as I am after hearing Sam's side of the story. So let me share everything that's happened so far today. Mimi and Ray have been treating me better recently. Not necessarily nicer, but they've been too wrapped up in their own emotions to pay much attention to me. Before I left for Sam's office, Mimi begged me to mention how much she loves Sam and him and that she wants to make it all work. She sounded desperate, so I promised to convey that before I left. Sam sounds like a very nice man. He was very polite as he invited me into his office. He kindly asked me if I would like some beverages before starting to talk. He revealed that Mimi had lied to him. Recently, he discovered that Mimi was pregnant a week before their wedding, but she had deceived him by claiming that she had become pregnant after they got married. However, he went to see the doctor to ask when the baby's gender could be discovered so he could throw her a surprise gender reveal party. That's when he discovered the truth. The doctor disclosed that Mimi had been 4 months pregnant, a timeline that did not align with Sam's presence in the country and the time of conception. This revelation meant she had cheated on him and got pregnant from the affair. He assumed this is the reason she postponed the wedding date. I was shocked and sympathized with him. I shared that I'd experienced infidelity in my marriage as well, and I assured him that he was right to seek a divorce from Mimi. He was surprised to learn this, as Mimi had never actually mentioned my husband's infidelity to him. Instead, she had always insinuated that I was the reason for the divorce. I confided in him that Ray and Mimi were obsessed with my ex-husband's wealth and were reluctant to have me bring embarrassment to the family by becoming a divorcee. Sam was shocked and angered by how they treated me. Expressing all of this to someone who understood exactly what I was going through, it did bring me a sense of relief. On my way back, I conveyed to him what Mimi had told me to say. He seemed disappointed, so I clarified that I only repeated it to prevent Mimi from blaming me for his decision. He was shocked to find out that Ray and Mimi had blamed their divorce on me. I explained that I intended to distance myself from them immediately. He thought it was a great idea. He instructed me to tell Mimi that he would not change his decision, and he did not want to raise someone else's kid. I'm currently sitting in the driveway writing this update as I see my distant uncle and aunt's car parked just outside Ray's house. They're unaware of the divorce, and I think Ray and Mimi would like to keep it that way. The house is full of people, a lot of people, and I just wanted to express all these emotions before I had to deal with everyone inside. I'm sure that Mimi and Ray would blame me for not being capable enough to talk to Sam now that this route has fallen through. I'm considering leaving while they're occupied with the guest. I just can't endure their toxicity anymore. I'm going to go inside, find a secluded area, and tell them. I hope they won't create a scene. If the reaction is negative, I'll pick up my things and leave as soon as possible. If the reaction isn't too bad, I plan to leave tomorrow. The 2 weeks are coming to an end anyways. Update number 2. Hey everyone, it's Alice again, and it's only the next day. A few things happened last night at dinner that I needed to update you guys about. As I went ahead to go inside, I found my distant aunts, uncles, and cousins sitting around at the living room. They were there to celebrate Mimi's pregnancy, and I don't know, apparently Mimi and Ray had decided to disclose the fact, hoping to gain sympathy if Sam went through with the divorce, not realizing that he knew the baby wasn't his. I tried to catch Ray's eye, but she mentioned me to wait for later. I felt anxious as I sat through with my relatives with such huge news. But the torture, it continued into dinner as we sat down at the dining table. My aunt mentioned that she knew a very handsome man in his late 30s, successful and polite, someone who I might like. I smiled through it all and told her to send me his number. Ray laughed at my response, stating that no one would marry a divorcee, especially a divorcee in her late 30s. My cheeks were just burning with humiliation as the whole table grew silent, while the little ones continued playing their games on their phone, not paying us any bit of attention. By then, I had enough of my stepmother and stepsister's behavior towards me. I stood up and told Ray that no one would want to marry a divorcee, especially a divorcee with someone else's child in her womb. Maybe that's why Sam wants to give Mimi a divorce. I could tell I shocked everyone, especially Ray, for finally standing up for my damn self. Mimi accused me of being a liar and told her to stop with the act. Sam already knew. She asked how I could have just announced such a thing in front of everyone, and I reminded her that it was her mother who was being so rude to me. At that point, I stopped caring for her and her daughter. Mimi grew absolutely furious and threw the mashed potatoes with gravy from her dinner plate at me, hitting me square in the chest. Fed up with her immature tantrums, I picked up the wine glass and emptied it over her head as she screamed at me to stop. Before I could retaliate by smashing the mashed potatoes in her face, Ray intervened and separated us. However, it was a perfect moment for Mimi to redirect her anger from me to her mother. She did accuse Ray of being the reason for her divorce, claiming that she was a horrible mother for not allowing her to get rid of the baby as she wanted. She argued that if Ray had not suggested that she lied to Sam, she would not be in such a humiliating situation. I refrained from reminding her that she was in this situation because she cheated on Sam. Ray was shocked at how easily Mimi would blame everything on her and called her daughter an ungrateful brat. Hurt by this, Mimi picked up the savory pancake from her plate and tossed it at Ray, hitting her square in the face. I realized that the teenagers at the table at this point had stopped playing on their phones and were giggling as, they filmed their mother-daughter fight. Yeah, throwing food at each other. Taking another step back, just in case to get out of their shot, I did not stop them from filming the fight, though. The relatives intervened as Mimi had Ray in a headlock, throwing insults at her while pouring wine over her mother's head. They had to separate the two women into different rooms, and I sat back down with the teenagers, and we just continued to eat the food as we heard yelling coming from both sides of the house. So, I helped clean up after the relatives had left and Mimi and Ray had locked themselves in their own rooms. I felt very relieved after finally letting my emotions out. I'm typing this early in the morning in my childhood bed. I'll be making my exit today, and hopefully I will never have to deal with their drama ever again. Update number 3. Hey everyone, it's Alice once again, and it's the next day. I left Ray's house yesterday. Let me tell you how my exit went. Before I descended downstairs, one of my nieces had sent me a TikTok video. Well, it was the video of Ray and Mimi fighting at the dining table. Apparently, it's gone viral. There were about 200,000 views on the video by then, and it had only been one night since it was posted. People in the comments were laughing and judging by the way our family chats were going. Our family was also laughing at them. So in conclusion, Mimi and Ray were a laughingstock, not only of the family at the moment, but also of the whole world. As I went downstairs, I could feel that Mimi was in the mood to fight as she stormed towards me, immediately spotting me. She pointed her finger in my face and blamed me for her humiliation, so I pushed her finger back and told her that she's the reason for her own humiliation. None of this would have happened if she had not cheated on Sam. Then I asked her who the embarrassment was now and laughed in her face. Mimi claimed that it wasn't really a big deal, it was just a one-time thing. If she had not gotten pregnant, everything would have been fine. I was horrified at her reasoning, but this conversation only reminded her to be mad at her own mother, and she accused her of being the reason for the divorce. Ray had come out of her room of the commotion, and she looked angry and ready to burst. She told Mimi to stop throwing the blame at her as if she wanted to stay under her roof. She blamed Mimi for cheating, asking hadn't she learned from me. Ray said that if someone as pathetic as me would not stay in a marriage with a wealthy man, why would a wealthy man stay in a marriage with a woman pregnant with someone else's child who brought nothing to the table? She offended both Mimi and me. We both started to yell at her for being rude. I told her that she was way out of line and that I had self-respect and I won't take her nonsense as Mimi cried about her own issues on the side. Ray did not let us finish as she blamed Mimi for ruining her image in front of her friends and family. Now she doesn't only have one divorced daughter, but two, with one of them pregnant with someone else's kid. She was horrified that now Mimi would not even get the child support from Sam anymore. It was honestly disgusting having to watch them talk like that, so I stepped out as they continued. And, well, they were just hurling insults at one another. After those 2 weeks, I got to my home with as much sanity as I could manage. I was ready to put everything that happened in the last 2 weeks behind me and just to focus on myself instead. Until I got an unexpected text. It was Sam and he asked me out. I was so shocked and felt that it would be wrong to accept it, but we had clicked the other day at the office, you know. Well, he had been so nice and polite to me even when Mimi had not told him many good things about me. I wondered if I should go ahead and give him a shot. I'm thinking about accepting it, especially after how Mimi and Ray have treated me. It would be a perfect sort of revenge, right? But I don't want to be in a relationship for revenge, so I told Sam that I would like to get to know him and see where it goes. This is not how I thought this drama would be resolved. Either way, I'm once again going to distract myself from Ray. This time, I won't be tempted to reconnect ever again. She's shown me her true colors, and forgetting that would be a really stupid move on my part. Update number 4. Hey everyone, it's Alice here, hopefully for the last time. It's been 6 months since all the drama with my stepmother and stepsister. Mimi had recently given birth to a baby boy, so I thought I should give you one last update on how life is going for all of us. I have not contacted Ray or Mimi in the meantime, and neither have they haven't had the audacity to attend any of the family dinings, so we haven't run into each other there either, which is great. However, I found out that Mimi had given birth through an aunt who was in contact with Ray. Mimi and Sam were officially divorced, and Mimi had gone back to the baby's father, who had denied wanting to get involved. He wasn't really rich, so now Mimi has to take care of the baby on her own. Sam did not have much sympathy for her, and Mimi had been living with Ray ever since I left them there. I don't know if they're getting along or not, but as long as they don't constantly blame me for things that aren't my fault, I would have my peace. Sam and I dated for 2 months, but I felt like I was betraying Mimi, even after the way she treated me, so I broke it off with him. He's a great guy and would easily attract another woman. We broke up amicably. Mimi, on the other hand, was furious after she found out that I dated Sam. I knew because my aunt had informed me that she's broken a vase in fury after hearing about it. I'm not really interested in casual dating at this point in my life, so I finally gave the guy my aunt had mentioned a call. He sounds like a great guy, and we've been going out for a few weeks now. I have a good feeling about it, and I think this can become a long-term thing. I think that's it for the whole drama. Anyways, thank you for letting me vent out my feelings here and provide your advice. Reading your comments always makes me feel heard. Alright guys, so here's the hot question that I found in the comment section, which did have a lot of people arguing about it. It was, well, do you think OP went too far at the end of the story when she decided to date Sam? A lot of the commenters were saying, no way, she didn't go too far. Mimi, her stepsister, was so rude to her. And you know what? Karma's karma. It didn't really matter what Mimi thought. Let OP go ahead and be with Sam if that's what she wanted, because it doesn't matter Mimi's opinion. But a lot of people were also agreeing with OP, saying, you know what? I would feel guilty too, and even though Mimi was absolutely atrocious to me, I would still feel like I'm betraying her somehow. So I do want to know what you guys think. Do you think OP should have kept dating Sam, or was she justified in cutting it off because she was scared of the betrayal? I want to know your thoughts on that story, guys. My name's Mr. Reddito. If you want to watch daily videos, all you gotta do is subscribe, because I drop a story every day. I hope to see you tomorrow, but do remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.